Now let us see the different possibilities in a system of two circles. That means let us consider two circles with radii r1 and r2 in general, such that say r1 is greater than r2. Now clearly we imagine that one case is the circles are totally separated as shown here. So if that is the case, then the distance between their centers has to be greater than sum of their individual radii, right? So therefore here the condition is that let us denote the distance as say c1 c2, that has to be greater than the sum of two radii. Now if the circles touch each other externally, then from the figure we see that the distance between their center has to be exactly equal to the sum of radii, right? Now if you move ahead and make the circles intersect each other, that is they come even closer to each other, then that's the case of intersecting circles. Now here we will see that the distance between their centers will be less than sum of their radii, but that has to be greater than the difference of their radii also, simply because if that is equal to the r1 minus r2, that is the difference, then basically we will get the next case, that is the circles touching each other internally, isn't it? So therefore if the circles are touching each other internally, the distance between their centers is equal to the difference of the radii, and that has to be the positive difference. So therefore we write it as r1 minus r2. If you don't know out of r1 and r2 which one is greater, then we will have to write that as the absolute value of r1 minus r2. Now moving on, it is possible that the smaller circle is inside the larger circle without touching it, and the two centers are still separate, that is they are not the same. So in that case what it means is c1 minus c2 is even smaller, c1 c2 is even smaller than r1 minus r2, but of course that has to be greater than 0. And finally when both the circles are concentric, that is their centers are the same, then it would mean that c1 c2 is nothing but 0, because they are one and the same point.